Welcome back, YouTube. So, wanted to provide a price action update. This is what we were looking for when it comes out to building the floors in the price action. This is what we were looking for overall, and it's really happening in pretty much the three major coins here that we're looking at. We were looking at these pretty much where we're looking at to building out a floor where we're going to have continuous amount of support and actually adding strength to those floors so that this is the chart I was looking for, sorry. So that we were able to actually build out support and actually have some strength so that we're not having like a weak floor or having one where it's giving us extreme volatility. We went on the, as I said, at the peak of the trend, we were looking to establish that floor in this zone here up around the 10-cent range. And we were looking to see, okay, well, maybe it can stay in this zone. But as we're trying to break into the zone here, but we were literally around the cusp of the zone, really, out of the 382 zone, breaking into the 954. But ultimately, we were not able to maintain that zone here for Doge. So we pretty much retraced some of the gains here, but we're actually finding the support here at the bottom of this zone. And ironically, we're picking up really where we left off at, because if you come up here, we see the beginning of the trend here from the bottom of the liquidity zone, and we retested around 867. Then we came down to the top of the liquidity zone, and then we were able to go on that run. So now we are literally bouncing around the last major rejection before we came out of the top zone here. So, and another thing is that we had this death cross here between the 14 and the 72. And Dogecoin did not have that big retracement. So technically speaking, this is we should have had somewhat of a major sell-off here, right? I'll say maybe the 747 or maybe the top of the liquidity zone, but that did not happen. Doge maintained it. And this is what I mean by sometimes these lagging indicators are not, they can give you an idea as far as what's to happen. You did see somewhat of a sell-off, but it wasn't nothing that we hadn't seen here with this major gap, and it kind of really just maintained itself from that point on. And we're literally still here, and we're actually starting to see a flattening of the 14th. So this is actually really good because we can see the 200 starting to flatten, and then you'll be able to have an indicator as we have the 14 start creeping back up toward the 72. Because more than likely, if we continue this trend here, we'll see a flattening of the 14. The 72 is already kind of flattening, so when we have this divergence here and say, okay, well, the 72 is the 14 is getting ready to cross the 72. This will kind of give you an idea. Okay, well, we're getting ready to pick up some momentum. So liquidity is coming into the coin, and you're going to see that ascend there. So ultimately, we're establishing the zone here. We're building out the support here, which is great. You don't want to give up your gains. It typically can take a rest, and you don't want to give up all the gains that you had. And you're looking to build these higher highs, right? You're looking to have this ascend. You build out a floor. You have ascend. You build out a floor. So next up, the major points that we're looking for is around that 10-cent range. So this is where the battle is going to be on the next run here around here. So let's take a look here at. Matter of fact, before I go to another coin, let's take a look here at shorts, because last I checked, they have been spiking, and they were up dramatically. Let's see if they sold some. They did. They sold some today. Haven't moved very much, but they are still up. They haven't come out of these positions since that they've taken, I'll say, since December. We've been on the uptrend. They picked up some more in January. They're sold somewhat, but they're still averaging into their short positions here. So shorts are still on the rise. This is not a descending pattern here. So just going to keep that in mind. Shorts for Doge are on the rise, and I expect that to happen here as we build out this floor, or certainly if we gain momentum toward around that 10-cent range. So just going to keep that in mind. Shorts are trending up. So let's take a look here at Bitcoin's price action, because it's doing something similar as far as building out that floor. And we're seeing that here around the 42 range here, because a lot of people thought that, hey, if we get the ETF, that's going to send Bitcoin parabolic and stuff like that. They're going to the institutions are going to have to be buying Bitcoin like crazy, and the Bitcoin is going to start flying toward 100K. And people are not giving up their Bitcoin, or at least converting to ETFs, which is smart. I don't recommend it. And I'll say that for another video. But I think that what we're seeing here is kind of like a calming. It's not necessarily selling, no one's necessarily buying, people are holding. So you're seeing very minimal price action here. And we may see something very similar here if because technically this is, I'm not going to say a retracement, but the price action, when you start seeing these very minimal movements, you're going to have to, if this doesn't turn into a liquidity zone, then you'll see probably a descension here to like around the low 37s. I don't think that's probable right now. I think we'll probably have a bounce off of the 72-day here, but we'll see and how far this curve and this 14-day, and then we'll kind of start getting ideas. Say, okay, well, we have that potential here for that breakdown. But ultimately, we've been holding. I think for the most part, if we were to have a sell-off because this liquidity zone is weak or we're not having the momentum here, we'll probably drop down to around 40 grand. So probably like another 2K, 2,500 or so, where we've seen those previous levels, those previous bounces, and then we'll have some liquidity come in. But I think that we're seeing this consolidation across the market. And this is kind of going to be like our higher high for now, our break after these tears. Before we ascend to the next level. Let's take a look here at Ethereum really quickly. Same thing with Ethereum. We had that tear there. Ethereum has been doing really well. I think that's a catalyst. I think they're trying to average in because I know Fink was talking about an Ethereum ETF, and typically the market trying to predict price, so it's not necessarily reactive to the news on the market. When they start talking about these things, they kind of things start to get priced in. So it's kind of more being proactive on the price action. So I believe that's kind of what this was about. But we see the same thing happening here, or like the last few days, or like the last week, is this kind of consolidation, this kind of back and forth ping pong action with Ethereum. So if we were to have that retracement, let's say Bitcoin does that $2,500 sell-off, I think I'll put, I think we'll probably see about 10% of that roughly in Ethereum, probably around 2,300. On the extreme, you can maybe have a catch down here on the 72, which is around 2,100. So maybe 15, 20% tops, but nothing astronomical as far as we're redoing any of these retracements. I believe it looks like we're shaping up and building out floors across the board here. So this is kind of what we were hoping for a few weeks ago, but it looks like it's kind of coming to pass now, which is great. It worked out for Ethereum. Ethereum is certainly building out the floor a little higher. Dogecoin, not so much, and Bitcoin, not so much. But either way, they did not give up all of those gains that they had. They were not able to support some of the higher levels that they reached a while ago, but they did not give up all of those gains. So the consolidation is where the market determines that. That's where people are comfortable buying. So we will see going forward here as we go into the I said the 2024 season. As we go into alt season, we have the halving coming up. So there's really some catalysts here to, especially for Bitcoin, to get things moving. So we'll have to just kind of keep an eye on that. And as far as for with Ethereum, I know the ETF talk is coming. I'm not sure how quickly that's going to happen. We'll see. And then of course we have the integration. We have Elon joking about Doge, seemingly joking about Doge as far as for being on X. So we'll see when that pops up. I do think we'll get something this year. So we'll see. But ultimately, there's some catalysts for all three of these coins to move. And we will see as we go into the halving and as we have that liquidity start coming into the market. Ultimately, I think this is great. I believe that if you're on the trend, if you're averaging in, or if you were looking to, even the traders, if they're looking to kind of get in a position to, because I know typically they'll try to get that 20% mark. So if they're looking to get in at around like 8 cents and sell at around 10 or 11, I know that once we start having those talks, they'll start averaging in and you'll see like spikes in prices and stuff. But ultimately, if you have not been inside of the coins, or if you're waiting on that sell, if you're thinking this was it and wondering where we're going to consolidate at before you re-enter, if you've kind of been waiting on the sidelines since it first sold off, I believe we're seeing evidence here of building out some of those floors that we talked about a while ago. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to this price update, and I will see you guys in the next one.